This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Nigerian Breweries Plc has released its unaudited financial results for the second quarter of the year, which comes in to a pre-tax profit of 43.87 billion naira. The report shows a strong performance compared to the figures reported in the first half of 2024. This is one of the latest declarations by companies in Nigeria this year that shows a strong performance, if you like, a recovery of the finances. Joining the conversation this morning is Mukhtar Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed is a trade expert and economist. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us on Now Breakfast.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
It's our pleasure. Mr. Mukhtar, let's start with just your view, really, of the this trend of impressive reporting by Nigerian companies.
Well, thank you. I'm not so surprised. Again, when you look at some of the companies, the results that have been turning in for a while, you realize that most of these results, most of these companies were companies that were making losses, like you rightly pointed out in the first quarter of last year. And this was largely driven by FX volatility in terms of losses that were tied to FX FX rate. So you could see that there's a lot of stability in the FX market, and maybe in the exchange rate there's a lot of stability in the exchange rate in terms of in the corridor of between 1,500 to 1,550. I think that has helped most of these companies when you look at these numbers, because in reality it wasn't like they weren't making profit at that time, but most of these profits were eroded with the exchange rate issues at that time. So definitely, yes, it's cool to point out that they've been able to do more patronage. But if you look at Nigerian Brewery itself, it's a company that undergo a right issue. They were at a negative capital at a point. The major shareholder also has to invest a lot in terms of capitals to be able to drive the business. So after that right issue and the investment from the major shareholder, and also that means they had a lot of working capital. They became very liquid. They were out of negative shareholder fund, and so that helped in where we are seeing Nigerian brewery as it is now, and also mostly in the brewery sector, Nigerian Brewery Guinness Nigeria also.
If we step away from Nigerian breweries for a moment, really just looking at the trend across the private sector and comparing it to where things started off when this administration's economic policies were introduced. Can you speak to us on just the general health of the sector? So even though you mentioned the improvements in the exchange rate, we also know that we're still talking about an environment where there's high inflation. We're still talking about an undervalued naira, as we keep saying. We're talking about some of the benefits that we should usually see around, for instance, improved employment rates, although the NBS has not released the most recent figures of unemployment across the country. But all of these are indicators, and I'm curious as to what this continued trend of declaring profits means for the wider economy.
Again, you also have to look at in terms of inflationary pressure, how that helped also in most of these products are more expensive than what they used to be before. And this is due to inflationary pressure. Yes, there's still that microeconomic headwinds that are there in terms of like inflation and others, and they are still there. But what we have seen in some of these companies that are releasing this result, we've seen them going into making sure that most of their major raw material are indigenous, and so that has helped reduce their exposure to it. You can rule out those FX issues. They are there now. When you talk about the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics in terms of why have these profit have not resulted in more jobs for Nigerians, you and I know that most of these companies also went through different reorganization processes. I also come back to Nigeria Brewery, which have to close down some of their plants. And these plants have not been reopened yet just to make sure they have cost efficiency management. And these plants have not been opened yet. So definitely we are not seeing what we are seeing in this company playing a larger role in the economy. And I'm not surprised if those data comes in from the Nigerian Breweries, especially as regard employability. It might not be different from what we've always had. But remember that the data have changed in terms of its ways of looking at unemployment. They've said that if you're a Nigerian, you work in an hour in a week, so you are classified as employed. We still have issues with those data. So I think what we have seen is what we've seen in terms of result is cost efficiency management for most of this company, and also high cost of this product also help in their bottom line. It doesn't really mean that a lot of Nigerians are not taking more of those products. It just means that what used to take three in terms of three people to take to give a price just by buying one bottle. Sometimes you are paying for almost two or three.
So if we compare
tax profits in 2025.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.